Scales, Chapter 7, Loathing. The cravings have subsided. He was right. He said he would clean me out. At first, I couldn't tell if the nausea and fever were signs of infection or withdrawal. My skin burned, even underwater. The murky bathwater was freezing, but I sweated like I was boiling from the inside out. The detox was brutal, but the clarity is undeniable. My thoughts no longer drown in the hunger for pills and potions. Now they burn for stage lights and applause, for my life before. The drugs were just filler, white noise between performances, a balm for the ache of needing to be seen and the disgust that followed. The moonlight glides through the window like a veil of chiffon falling over a stage, casting a soft blue glow across my world. I carve a small circle into the tile, filling the hole with scratches. This is the 6th full moon. Something has changed in the shadow. Dark crescents have settled beneath his eyes. He no longer places my offerings gently along the rim of the tub. Now he tosses them into corners or flings them into the air, unbothered when the droplets hit my face. The splash is small, yet it stings. Not from the water, but because he doesn't notice how much it hurts when he does that. He reminds me of the gamblers at the club, the ones holding dud cards, still tossing chips into the pot, knowing they won't win, continuing only out of habit. A week ago, I managed a soft sigh. Well, more of a faint whine, but it sounded almost like a song. He stayed with me for hours after that, brushing my hair, massaging salve into the torn flesh of my palms. I think it was the happiest I've ever been. I've fed off that night every waking moment since, his hand stroking the back of my neck, his fingertip catching the tear that slipped from the corner of my eye. The kiss he pressed to my forehead just before he left at sunrise. Since then, I haven't managed another sound, and his mood has soured. He's curt, withdrawn, like being near me costs him something. I hate this disconnect between us. There's a constant tightness in my chest, like I'm suspended over the edge, our thin thread of connection one strand away from snapping, and I will plummet to my death. My mind races with 1,000 questions, trying to piece together what's wrong, what I've missed, what I can do to fix things. Gone is the passion behind his eyes. I'm afraid he thinks he made a mistake choosing me. I'm so frustrated by my own inability to deliver consistently. If I could just assure him of my determination to be his fantasy, perhaps then his adoration would be more consistent. Using the Phoenix comb shell, I detangle my long, wet, black locks of hair, laying the strands in intricate patterns over my bare breasts, like lace on porcelain. That night, he compliments my creativity, his gaze lingering a little longer than usual. He says the design reminds him of lingerie. I feel a flicker of something, excitement, like the brief, electrifying moment when your crush finally looks your way. He gently places a blood-red stone on the rim of the tub. Garnet. Coral was obsessed with crystals. So desperate for validation, she sought it in the stars, the stones, and everywhere in between. Our apartment was consumed by crystals. Every window ledge and table surface was lined with racks and rows of glimmering rocks. She charged them every month under the black sky of the new moon. She always noticed when one had been moved or knocked out of place. On the nights when her boyfriend stayed over and I risked sleeping alone, I'd take her celestite, her citrine, or maybe her white calcite. She'd turn the apartment upside down, and after finding them inside her boyfriend's shoe, in his backpack, or beneath the cushion of the couch where he'd been sitting, I'd hear them argue through the bedroom door, him defending himself, assuring her it was just an accident, that he didn't know how it got there, and her reminding him that this happens almost every time he comes over, that she knows he's just messing with her, that he's never taken her spirituality seriously. Later, she'd slink into my bed, sobbing and exhausted from the fight. I'd console her and remind her that he just doesn't get her the way I do. In the living room, a large, hardcover picture book about crystals and their spiritual powers props up the window panel. In the late afternoon, just as the sun painted the city in gold, I would hang my feet over the rails of the fire escape outside the window, light a cigarette, and read that book, unknowingly studying its pages, preparing for a test I didn't realize I was going to take. A test to make sense of the world I had found myself in, and the meaning behind the shadow's offerings. I rolled the hematite stone around in my palm. The smooth, metallic black surface of the disc-shaped stone was cool to the touch. I'd been using it as a hand mirror, checking my pores, my reflection distorted in the glossy surface. The stone's weight grounded me, like wearing cement shoes in a flood. I picked up the bright orange carnelian crystal and admired the red veins running through its translucent center. Racking my memory for its featured page in the book, I remembered this crystal brought the wearer physical vitality, strength, and courage. There were mountains of bloodstone, black tourmaline, and amethyst scattered around the bathroom among the shells and seaweed, stones for healing, cleansing negative energy, emotional balance, perseverance, and endurance. Small tokens of prayer and protection, the shadow's medicine, once he stopped bringing me the pills. Garnet. Loyalty and lust. Sacrifice and commitment. He hasn't given up on me. He just needs more. If I can't give him my voice, I'll give him what's left of my skin, so long as, in return, he keeps offering me these intoxicating doses of adoration. I need to prove my devotion. I stripped the leaves from a vine of seaweed. With focused precision, I used the broken tip of a spiral whelk to carve holes into tiny cowrie and miniature conch shells. I threaded them through the vine, holding one end high, the clink of shell against shell echoing as they slipped down and stacked delicately. In the middle of the necklace, I threaded a clamshell. In its hollow mouth, I nestled the garnet, like a pendant encased in fossilized filigree. I tied the thread around my neck, letting the collection cascade across my décolletage, the garnet sitting at the center. With the fragment of oyster shell, its sharp edge as a razor, I split the skin of my left hand and forearm, carving intricate spirals and winding lines from my fingertips to my elbow. Tracing a fingernail through the grout between the tiles, I gathered a small mound of algae. I rubbed it into the open flesh, letting the dark green, ink-like substance mingle with the blood, staining my skin in swirls of red and green. I rinsed the residue away and wrapped my arm in seaweed like a glove, letting the shallow wounds seal beneath its touch. Over the days that followed, the seaweed dried and curled, clinging tighter as the saltwater sting gave way to stillness. When I finally unwound the weeds, the algae had made peace beneath a thin layer of skin. No trace of blood or rot, only a glistening, iridescent silver. The design looked like veins spun from moonlight. I think of him with every twist of hair, every soft clink of shell, every carve of flesh. My stomach growls, and I wonder what he ate for breakfast. Black coffee and buttered toast. Or maybe orange juice and scrambled eggs. My fin shivers in the freezing water pooling on the tiles. And I think about his boots. Whether he wears black or white socks. And if he folds them at the ankle or stretches them up his calf. I toss and turn in the tub, all comfort reduced to a fleeting memory. My own hip bones and elbows bruising against the porcelain. And I wonder if he sleeps on his back or on his belly, one leg bent, one foot hanging over the edge of the bed. I crave the scent of fresh air, anything but the constant reek of mildew and rot. And I wonder if he keeps the windows open or prefers the low hum of the air conditioner, circulating the fragrance of eucalyptus and vetiver. Clean, sterile, exactly how I imagined his home would smell beyond the blue bathroom door. I wonder if he thinks about me the way I think about him, stitched into every seam of my soul, tugging the threads taut whenever my mind dares to wander. My attempts to win back his adoration through adornments were a miserable failure. He visits so infrequently, once every few nights, if at all, and when he does, it's so abrupt. He doesn't even look at me. He doesn't notice all the wonder I've created for him. The ache of hunger in my stomach has replaced the pain that once radiated from the wound around my waist. Loneliness gnaws at my insides. I'm not afraid of the plummet to death. I fear that he won't even notice I'm gone. The tightness in my chest has wound itself into a knot, a pulling tension in my body that has no outlet. The more I try to unravel it, the more elusive everything seems. Where is he? How does he spend his evenings if not with me? If not beckoning my lullaby, if not offering his love in small prayers, if not watching me grow strong and beautiful again? Who is he with? Is she another like me, more beautiful than me, more talented than me? Has he found someone more deserving of his fantasy? The moon turns into a waxing crescent. I chew on the leaves of seaweed for sustenance as I feel my body breaking down inside, eating itself to stay alive. He's done with me, disappointed that I haven't been able to do the one thing he asks, the one thing I'm good at, the one thing that makes me worthy. He resents me. His chosen mistake, a bad bet, a rotten gamble. I am rotten. Spoiled rotten. He's given me so much, the precision of his surgery, the encouraging messages of his offerings, his patience, his trust, his quiet, unshakable belief that I would endure. I hear the front door creak open, then the strained peal of tin, the tearing hiss of metal, a sudden pop, and the soft groan of bending aluminum. A flutter rises in my belly. He's coming to see me tonight. I split the skin at the tip of my pointer finger and hold the hematite stone level with my mouth, catching my reflection in its polished gleam. I smear the pooling blood on my finger across my lips. I trace the outline of my ribs beneath the water and pretend they're his fingers. The bathroom door creaks open. His broad silhouette fills the doorway. I smile, fluttering my lashes. I extend one hand as an invitation. He moves slowly, water sloshing around his boots. Seaweed and shells shift beneath his steps as he clears a path to me. He crouches by the side of the tub, on the silver plate a neat pile of sardines. I point to his hand, then to the fish, then to my mouth. A silent suggestion. Feed me. He grips the tail of the tiny fish between his thumb and forefinger and brings it to my open mouth. I let his fingers enter, closing my lips around them. I suck, slowly, deliberately, never breaking eye contact. His fingers are rough and salty. They're the best thing I've ever tasted. I swallow the sardine whole. It slides down my throat, and something primal takes over. He looks away, so I caress his forearm, then tighten my grip. I suck harder on his finger. I clutch the collar of his shirt and pull him closer. Our faces are inches apart, eyes locked, clinging to each other like the tide pulling at the shore. I have his full attention, and nothing has ever tasted so delicious. I need him closer, deeper. My hand glides down his torso to the buckle at his waist. A heartbeat, a breath, I manage to make a moan, a high-pitched crescendo of sound. His eyes water, tears slide down his cheek. He stands, undoes his belt, and guides himself toward my mouth. Yes, yes, yes. Like watching a needle find its vein, my mouth opens, anticipation building. The world slips away to just me and the fix. I take him into my mouth. My hands grip his hips, eyes up, his gaze locked on mine. He finishes quickly. My throat floods with salt. I devour it like victory. The emptiness inside me fills with an overwhelming rush. Satisfaction, pride, achievement. Then he rips himself away, stumbling backward to slam against the far wall. His face twists into something grotesque. Horror, disgust, disbelief. He looks at me like I'm a stranger, like he doesn't recognize what I've become, or who I've always been. A familiar wash of shame crashes over me like a tidal wave. I try to speak, to apologize, but all that escapes is a rasped whisper. He abandons the room, slamming the door so hard the mirror above the sink rattles with a shrill cry. A deadly hollowness tears through my chest, like my heart dropped into my stomach and kept falling, dragging every organ down with it. My lips quiver, my eyes brim with tears, and stars bloom across my vision. He saw me for what I truly am: needy, depraved, ruined. And he loathed it.